Welcome back to the topic about external tables. 2 points on external tables. They are the bridge between SQL tables and non-database sources. And the second, they are defined within the database but exists outside the database. This might sound a little bit confusing, but think about following example. If we have an outside system on which we rely on, but that system doesn't have an SQL connection to our database, but we need the data that it produces. That system could produce an output file which would reside on our server and we would read from it. It will make much more sense when we go through the example. So let's jump straight ahead. First, to access some files on the system, we need to create a directory object on our database. To do that, we need to do that with a user that has enough privileges to create directories. I'm connected with my sys as sysdba account on my pluggable database. So as you can see, my username is sys as sysdba, and I'm on the same pluggable database where my HR account resides. So to create a directory, we use the following command. It is create, optional or replace directory, the name of the directory as, and the location of that directory. So our system knows where to look at. Let's create this. So our directory has been created. And we need to grant read and write privileges to our HR user. Again, I'm doing this from sysuser on our pluggable database. I'm doing that with grant read on directory or our object, the name of the object, to, and the user we are granting the privileges to. So I'm going to execute the first, which is the read grant, and the second, which is the write grant. Now, our directory should be visible to our HR user account. Let's check it out. So I'm just going to expand our HR connection and go to the directories. At the moment, it's empty, but let's refresh it. And we can see the receipts directory is over here. And we can see the name and the path to it and what are the grants assigned to it. In that directory, I created a textual file. I named it receipts.txt, and it contains following data. Think of this file as an output file from another system. The most important data, which we will read from SQL, it's contained in those lines. So for example, this line would have a receipt ID of 555123. This would be the receipt date and the receipt batch ID. Okay, let's leave this for now and let's go create our external table. I'm connected with my HR user and I'm going to create an external table which will read that file that we created on our drive. So the first part of the create table statement is practically the same as the standard create table statement. It has create object type, the name of the table, and columns which will be present. Notice that I'm using columns with the data type of char, and that data type has a fixed length value. After the first part of the command, we are defining organization external. This means that the table will be external. The type of it, it's Oracle Loader. This is a separate Oracle tool which loads a batch of data into the database, but this tool is out of the scope for our exam and this course. The following line specifies to which directory it will look at. This is the name of the directory we specified prior, and followed by access parameters. The following lines define how our document, in our case the textual file, will be parsed. So the system knows how to chop it out and pick the data that it needs. The line 10 records are delimited by NEWLINE. So every new line in our textual document is going to be a new row in our external table. Skip 4 means that it will skip first 4 lines which are present in the textual document. So when looking at the text document, this is the first line, the second line, the third line, and the fourth line. Actual parsing will start on the line 5. And that data will be parsed by following conditions. The fields keyword defines columns in our external table. So the receipt ID will be fixed length of 6 characters. It will pick up those first 6 characters. followed by 12 characters, which will be receipt date. So it will pick up from this point, and it will pick up 12 characters. Have in mind, it will pick up also the empty space present over here. And finally, followed by the receipt batch ID, which has fixed length of 6 characters. Again, empty space will be picked up. And then it goes to another row and so on. And finally, in our create external table statement, we have to define the location so it knows which file to read. Let's create this external table. Our table has been created, and let's check what it contains. So I'm gonna select from it, and we can see our results present over here. Again, notice that it also picks up the empty space over here. If the external system would make change to our text file, the changes would be present right away. So let's make another row to our text file. Let's just change some data over here. Okay. And I'm gonna save that file. Now, when we again query from the external table, this data should be present. And it's over here. Excellent. Have in mind, if we try to drop the table external receipts, which is our external table, the system will notify us that this table has been dropped. However, only the metadata has been dropped from the database. It is important to know that external tables have limitations. So the insert, update, or delete cannot be used. We can just use the select of our DML commands. Constraints cannot be used. Indexes cannot be used. Large objects cannot be used on the columns. And columns cannot be set as unused. They can be just dropped. This is it for this lesson, and see you in the next one.